house in Rhode Island is up for sale again, but this isn't just any old house. This house was the inspiration for the Conjuring movies. Due to a recent tweet, people are asking MrBeast to buy the house, hoping that he will do some kind of challenge inside there to see if it's really haunted. The previous owners though have said that the house shouldn't be messed with, and that it's one of the most haunted places on the planet. Burrillville, Rhode Island is a quiet village, with a population of just 1,600. It's a bucolic setting for any American family looking to connect with nature. That's exactly what Carolyn and Roger Perron thought they would get when they moved their 5 young daughters into a gorgeous estate in 1970. Unfortunately, their peaceful expectations were far from the truth. Almost immediately, something strange seemed to be going on in their new house. Things didn't seem to stay where you left them, and if you weren't careful they would go missing entirely. Carolyn the matriarch seemed to have it the hardest. Her broom had a mind of its own. It would travel around the house when no one was looking, and would sweep small piles of dirt onto newly cleaned floors. Both Carolyn and her daughters experienced strange nighttime visions, where figures would hover over them, or items of furniture would burst into flames. They did their best to forget these small issues and blame it on dreams, or perhaps forgetfulness, and attempted to go on living a normal life, but things kept piling up. The girl's hair was pulled by invisible hands, and the antique bottles the family collected were constantly rearranged. The telephone and other appliances always seemed to be inoperative. Flies swarmed throughout the house, coming from no discernible source. It seemed that something or someone wanted to make their presence known. Carolyn decided to research the town's history, believing that it might provide some insight into the mysterious events on their estate. Records indicated that before the Perrons arrived, 8 generations of the same family lived in the house, and many of them had passed away there. The town of Burrillville recorded 3 instances of people taking their lives, 2 drownings, 4 freezings, and the murder of an 11-year-old girl. In the 1800s, a woman named Bathsheba lived there. She had a reputation for witchcraft, and her children seemed to die mysteriously as infants. After Carolyn's research, the hauntings grew more violent. Pots of frying meat flew across the stove while cooking. For fans of horror movies, Bathsheba is also one of the antagonists of the Conjuring universe. Cindy, one of the middle children, was trapped in a wooden box in the shed during a routine game of hide-and-seek. The parents were assured that Bathsheba was to blame, and word soon spread. The famous ghost-hunting couple Ed and Lorraine Warren came to investigate. Having heard of the house's powers, the Warrens travelled to Rhode Island to investigate and conduct a seance. If the story so far sounds familiar, it probably is. The 2013 movie The Conjuring was based off the Perron family's real-life experience. However, after the arrival of the Warrens, things went a little bit different than the movie. Carolyn was possessed during the seance, and she contorted and shook wildly. But even after the Warrens supposedly de-demonized her, the family continued to experience unexplained torment. To add insult to injury, they couldn't afford to leave. They had exhausted all of their resources. Financially, they had no choice but to stay in the haunted house until 1980. In 1980, the Perron family moved to Georgia. Although they left many of their spirits behind, including Bathsheba, they weren't completely lucky. Andrea, the oldest Perron daughter, later wrote that the spirits of Rhode Island estates seemed to grow attached to the family. They followed them wherever they went. Interestingly, famous ghost hunter Zach Baggins was able to get his hands on a relic, which was the inspiration behind the 3rd installment of the Conjuring universe. In 2019, Zach Baggins introduced a rocking chair, which he had acquired from the museum of Ed and Lorraine Warren. He soon put the piece on display inside his haunted museum. However, Baggins decided to close the exhibit after realizing that the chair was seemingly behind a number of strange goings-on, both in the museum and in his own home. In one incident, 6 visitors to his museum had experienced the same uncontrollable crying, and this was whilst in the vicinity of the chair, and one guest had even collapsed on the stairs above the place where the chair was situated. According to Baggins, the paranormal activity didn't stop there. During a visit by a friend to Baggins' Las Vegas home, the pair began to experience a strange evil aura between them, causing Baggins' dog to start growling, and Baggins himself to fall into a possessive rant, uttering strange words about God and Satan. His friend then began to experience the same, before running out of the house. The chair itself has a dark history and a large price tag, with Baggins reportedly paying around $67,000 for it. The chair inspired the third Conjuring film The Devil Made Me Do It. In the 1980s, an 11-year-old boy named David Glatzel had allegedly been possessed by a demon, with his family desperate to heal him. Ed and Lorraine Warren asked priests to perform an exorcism on the boy. Although the exorcism was a success, the demon apparently lodged itself in the body of a young man named Arnie Johnson, who would later go on to take the life of his landlord. In Johnson's trial, the defense argued that he did this because of demonic possession, leading to the trial being dubbed the Devil Made Me Do It case. What is connecting them to the rocking chair? Disturbingly, the original exorcism of David Glatzel took place in the room of the Glatzel house, where this chair used to sit. During the exorcism, the chair allegedly levitated and rocked, with one eyewitness even claiming that they'd seen the devil himself sitting in it. As they say, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world that he didn't exist, and some have speculated that the entity itself is behind many of the world's hauntings. So what do you make of this house, and would you stay in it? Be sure to leave your questions and answers in the comment section below, and help us to grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.